Genevieve, what I want to get to is the glimpses. You talk about the glimpses that you had. And then your life was a quest for those glimpses.
Absolutely. The glimpses were, probably some of your listeners are familiar with this, but glimpses are the name I came to call sort of little moments of magic that I'd experienced as a child and as a teenager, where you just drop into a space where it was almost like an infinitesimal moment of time where you just sort of went, oh, what was that? What was that? And in that moment, it was almost like time stopped, everything was perfect, and all the joy and the love in the world was somehow contained within it. It is the most bizarre thing. It's so difficult for me to put into words. I explain it in Becoming Genevieve. And as a child, I experienced these quite a lot. And I experienced them in nature. I'd experienced them when I was quiet. I'd experienced them in stately homes and churches and those places that feel a little bit magic-y and connected. And places like Standing Stone, Stonehenge, Avebury Circle. You know, you're in Ireland, you're blessed with all these wonderful monuments. I'd always get this sort of like thrill, this magical feeling, and something would run through me like a memory almost, but I couldn't grasp it. And as life went on, life happened like it happens to all of us. I lost it. I lost my ability to do magic. I lost the happiness. I fell into depression. I had bad relationships. I had terrible insomnia for a long time. I got really overweight. I got terribly into debt. Real old sob story. And it was kind of like this search for the glimpses that almost kept me looking in the direction of magic, I suppose.
I love that you use that term, because what happens so often is that we use terms like, we talk about angels, or we talk about the law of attraction, or the sort of the universe has your back kind of thing. And other people listening to that very often think of that as something that maybe other people have, not something that is available to them. And when you talk about it in your books, what you do, if it's the glimpses or whatever else you're talking about, it becomes something real, something that everybody can access or hope to experience.
Well, this is really important, because this is one of probably the most important part of what I teach, is not to follow other people's words. And one of the reasons I think that my writing is very engaging is because I write, maybe all writers do this, but I don't know, but I write from a place of absolute truth as I see it in that moment, in that very moment. If it isn't the truth, I don't say it. So it doesn't matter whether the law of attraction says this, or some big writer says that, or Buddhism says this, or whatever, angels say that. If I don't see it, I don't say it. But I say exactly what I see. And the thing is, we can all do this. We can all actually start paying attention to our own experience, to what's true for us. And that is just a gold mine of magic and wisdom and power and the most wonderful things. We don't need to go elsewhere. We don't, you may read me, but the power, the magic comes from within you. It comes from within you. So you don't need to go elsewhere. You don't need to go to the law of attraction. Even if you're using angel cards or something, it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's still you. It's still coming from you.
I agree with you. I think all of those things are wonderful tools for accessing your own magic. And you do say that. You have this beautiful line about, you are the wand, you are the magic, which is really refreshing. You also had that other lovely saying I had, when you changed, when the lovely quote about expecting the world to change without changing you is like looking in the mirror and expecting your reflection to smile first. I mean, that is just a wonderfully exciting way of saying that we are the sort of power, we are the magic, we really are. In fact, that was one of the very, very first insights I had. Basically, guys, about the age of 43, I was not where I am. I'm 53 now. I was 43. 10 years ago, I was in a desperate situation, desperately in debt, working in a minimum wage job, really overweight, single, miserable, depressed. And the very first insight I had, I sort of had an epiphany, like we do one day. One day we fall into despair and an epiphany comes. I'm not going to tell you the big long story because we don't have time. But one of the very first insights I saw was that if I change me, the world seems to change in response. And that was huge, because it meant that if there's something I didn't like in the world, I didn't have to wait for someone else to change it. I didn't have to worry about how to change the world. I just had to change the way I was and watch. And that was huge.
In your book, you describe that it's very powerful, because it's actually wonderfully, you really deeply, profoundly sort of open up and become very vulnerable and explain exactly how you felt at that moment. And what you actually really show is that at the moment, what you're talking about, in fact, at that point, is you were waiting for someone to come and save you. You know, somebody was to come and save you. And finally, one day, you realized nobody was coming. I mean, that was really, I mean, I must admit, when I heard it said, I just thought, oh my goodness, that's such a lonely place to be. And yet it was the most profoundly empowering point in the whole quest.
Because we can spend a whole, I mean, I'd spent 43 years waiting for someone to come and save me, waiting for someone to find me. I don't know, the government, my friends, a white knight on a charger, somebody to notice me, someone to say, it wasn't right. My life wasn't right. Who was going to fix it? When was it ever going to change? When was the world going to notice that this life wasn't right? And the moment I realized, oh God, no one's ever going to come, ever. I realized from that moment, oh, it's for me to change it. It was only ever for me to change it. It always was for me. It was always within my power. It was always my responsibility. And that was massively empowering. Because from that point on, it was like it was all up to me. It was just all up to me.
Yeah, you were in charge. You were responsible for everything.
Yeah. Didn't have to live at the mercy of an uncaring, unforgiving, difficult world. It was my will to go and create. It was like for me to take the steps. It was for me to make the changes.
So with that new energy, with that new realization, what did you do next?
What I did the very first thing I did was I went into the factory where I was working the next day, minimum wage, 12-hour shifts, absolutely awful job. And I started acting differently. I stopped complaining. I started seeing the good in people. I tried to be friendly and helpful wherever I went. I started feeling gratitude on a regular basis. That was something I probably got out of one of the books I was reading, like The Secret or whatever. I got into the law of attraction books very early on and read a lot of those. So I started feeling gratitude, writing gratitude statements, and noticed things started to change. And then I started to take notes and realize what worked. And gradually, by looking at my own experience, copying what the book said, they may inspire me, but by looking to what actually worked in my own life, I started to learn. I started to realize how I could get control of my own experience, how I could experience the same dirty, nasty job, the same ugly factory, and the same people in a completely different way.
And things began to happen for you. And you talk about the fact that, you have almost serendipitous, meetings with people or conversations with people, or if books fall off shelves or pages open and you're inspired. But what you're actually saying is that it's because you can see them now. It's because it's not just a stupid book that fell off the shelf.
It's a weird one. I can't say I completely 100% understand serendipity. I can't quite understand. This is why I call it magic. Okay, complete. Revealing, opening all now. This is my the reason I call it magic is because I don't understand it. That's the reason. It's not. There are part, and this is a big part of it, because there are bits of what I do that I don't understand. And it's important that I don't try and understand, because if you try and understand, you get your mind in there and try and put models around it and try and explain it, and you ruin it. You lose the magic. So I call it magic because I don't understand it. And I can't remember what the question was.
Well, I was saying that as you begin to make those steps forward, as you begin to change within you, you begin to see things as they occur, because it has as much to do with, where attention goes, energy flows, and that kind of thing. I know these are, sort of glib sayings, but they're useful in a hurry sometimes.
What's more, a lot of those glib sayings, they often turn out to be true in the end. You come to realize them in a different, you know, that lots of these little sayings that you think, I don't know if I believe, I'd like to believe it, but I'm not sure about that. At some point, they come back into your life and you think, oh, I know what they're talking about now. Right, now I get it. It's funny how often that happens. That's funny. But yeah, back to serendipity. It's it seems to be, it sometimes, I often say, it sometimes feels like the universe is rewarding you for making an effort. And that is a metaphor, because I don't think that it's really like that. I don't think there's anybody rewarding anyone. It's nothing to do with being a good person and being rewarded in that sense. It just seems like when you make an effort yourself, things slot into place. Mm-hmm. When you realize it's you that has to do this, rather than if there's something you don't like, don't ever complain about it. What good does complaining about it do? If you don't like it, do something to fix it. If you can't fix it, don't complain about it. Move on to something else. And that is the way I live my life all the time. And it's amazing how often serendipitous events, weird, you know, synchronicities, money was falling into my lap, people were coming along at all the right times, and it still happens.
And you got the car of your dreams. I love this. There's a wonderful guy. And ladies, if you go to Genevieve, please go to Genevieve's website. And can I just say, Genevieve, you are also Sasha Stevens. Genevieve is your pen name. And that's why we're using it this evening, because that's how you'll recognize her as well and recognize her books. But there's a wonderful photograph of you sitting behind the most fabulous car. How did this turn up? Please.
Oh yeah, I bought that a few years back now. I'd always wanted, it's not the most expensive car in the world. It's quite expensive, but it was an Aston Martin DB7, which was something I'd always wanted. The most beautiful car. Even now, it's an old car, but it's the most beautiful car I've ever seen. I don't know if there'll ever be the like made. And yeah, I just bought myself as a treat. I needed to do it. It's ostentatious. Maybe it's too flashy for me. So I'm not a very flashy person, but I just needed the experience of what's it like to own the dream car that you always wanted. So.
And now you know what that's like. Well, that's wonderful. And I hope you have
just a car, Trina. It's just a car, to be honest.
You know what? I can imagine getting behind that wheel and getting out on the M, whatever that's near you, and just sailing along in it quite nicely. I think it's a lovely image. I love the image, and I love the look on your face. You are joyously enjoying what you call, you know, you became lucky is how you describe it. You know, you're enjoying it and you're sharing it by writing the books and sharing it. You're not sort of grasping it to yourself in some way. And that's something I really like. You have now set up the Magic Academy. Is that what it's called?
I call it the Academy of Magic. Genevieve's Academy of Magic. Yeah.
And so you can people join up, they become members of this and study with you. And
yeah, basically I set up at the beginning of this year. I set this up. The doors are currently closed, but they're about to open again for anybody who's interested. I've set up an entire, what I call the Academy of Magic, which is basically teaching everything I know from first beginnings to where I am now, which is a long way further along than feeling gratitude and not complaining and blah, blah, blah. It is this business I call magic. It goes deep. It goes into the nature of reality, the nature of experience, the nature of God. And it is huge, this subject.
You've been a student of philosophy. You've attended a number of colleges, and you're very sort of educated in that whole area. It's quite an academic subject for you as well. And so
it's not Trina. The academia just gets in the way. Believe me, you don't need to be clever and educated to get this stuff. In fact, the opposite.
I'm so pleased to hear you say that.
Just gets in the way. You do not need an educated mind. Educated mind will spoil magic. This is way more fundamental than magic.
Well, haven't you just said it? Because, and in fact, you do say it as well. And we know it because I had my grandchildren with me last week, and the little 4-year-old said, "I'm a wonderful singer." And I just thought, oh, I love this. When young people are, or when children are small, they have no hesitation in telling you how wonderful they are, or the great discoveries that they make. And as we move on, we forget all of that. So I completely agree with you on that. You know, it's not about the analytical mind, it's more about the open mind, really. It's
about the open, what I call the magical mind. It really, really is, because as children, a lot of us could do magic. We've had this feeling we could do magic. And what happens? We get educated and we start believing things that other people tell us. And the thinking mind gets in the way. And that is it, guys. That is what's in the way of anyone doing magic. It's just this thinking mind. So academia, intellect, the intellect, education, it doesn't help. I'm not saying it's useless, but it's useless for this. It's useless for what I call magic.
Well, now you have the next book you have is Magic Words. And yeah. I do have it, but I haven't actually.
You'll love it. You'll love it.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to that. So tell me a little bit about what we can expect with Magic Words.
Magic Words and how to use them is my favorite technique for creating change, which is literally to talk yourself into a new experience of life. It's to use something as simple as words to tell a different story, change your entire experience. You can make enormous changes very, very, very quickly with this one technique. And it's turning out to be one of my, possibly it'll end up being my most popular and successful book ever, just because it's so practical. You know, the other books are more philosophical. They're more about sort of creating a bigger attitude change. But Magic Words is a technique and anyone can do it. You can pick it up and you can start doing it straight away and you can see a change very, very rapidly. So
what is the most magic of Magic Words, do you think?
Oh, it's not. This is the funny thing. The magic words have to come from you. I can't give you a magic word, because if I gave you a magic word, that's not where the magic is. The magic always comes from you. This is about finding your own perfect magic words. This is about speaking from that place within you that we all have. There's magic, and I'm speaking literally here. I'm not, this is an airy fairy words. There's a magical place within all of us that's wise and powerful and has all the answers. And from that place, that's where the magic words come.
And I often think the words that follow I am are, anything that follows I am is going to be fairly powerfully strong for you, because as you quite rightly said, it was when you realized that the buck stopped with you, that you were responsible, that you couldn't blame somebody else. And you really describe this beautifully. It's so powerful when you're describing it in the book that it can only hit you with a sledgehammer if you haven't thought any other way. I'm quite serious, because what you actually say is stop. Even if the circumstance you find yourself in is as a result of someone else's behavior, even if everything. I'm going to ask Sandra to mute yourself. Sandra, can you please? Sandra, if you can possibly do that, because thank you, please. So even if you find yourself in a circumstance caused by somebody else, take responsibility for the next steps that are about to be made.
It may be someone else's fault. What's happened may not be your doing. Absolutely, people do things.
Yes.
But it's still your responsibility to react. It's your responsibility to do something, to do whatever you do next. Yes. If you just stop and moan about it and complain about it and wait for them to fix it, you're totally disempowered. From that point, you're totally stuck then. So yeah, that's one of the big things.
Who's got some questions? Now, if you want to ask questions, you're going to have to unmute yourselves. So let me see. So look, does anybody want to ask a question or even put it into the chat box? Because you've got this very wise lady here in front of you who has written these wonderful books, and you can ask any question you like. And I always say this, you never know when you're going to hear the very words that are going to make you make new decisions, better choices, wiser moves. And sometimes, okay, so Yvonne, you're saying, Yvonne says inspirational. And
lovely, thank you, Yvonne. Very nice of you. Very nice of you to say.
Trina says wise words. Absolutely, Trina, they are. And you're a very wise lady yourself, actually, I have to say. And yes, honest and real. Actually, that's what's really refreshing about you. It is truly honest and real, and even in your because what people can do even tonight is go to your website and sign up for your this sort of 5 days of magic. And what's lovely about it is in your very first video that comes through on the first day, you say, listen here, this isn't a hard sell, but you are going to hear something, and then if you wish, you're going to join. So you're not even saying you got this all for free and then you can go away. It is, are you going to listen to this? Are you going to take it in? And are you going to take some action afterwards? I mean, there's quite an invitation to join your, what would you say? It is your membership.
Oh, the 5 day course. Yeah, that's, it's a free, that it's basically related to the book you've just talked about, which is the Magic Words book. So it's a 5 day walk through the technique. So you can do that for completely for free. I mean, it would probably work even more powerfully if you bought the book too, but you don't need to buy the book. You can do that completely for free. And it's
I like the books, and I love to have a tangible. I mean, I love listening because it was so convenient and at all of the time. And when you don't have actually time to sit down and read, being able to take a book out on Audible and go and listen to people that way is wonderful. But I actually have a funny feeling with magic words. I'm going to send away for the book because I quite like that. Ruth, you're saying, what were the first changes to your life after your realization that no one was going to come and save you? What were the first changes?
Actually, it was, as I said, in that factory. I was working in a minimum wage job, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week in a factory, packing boxes. I'm an educated person, and this is what I've been. This is what it was not a pleasant life. What's more, the place was full of mainly low-paid workers from Eastern Europe. Most of them didn't speak any English. I didn't get on with anyone there. I thought they were all really grumpy. The work was awful. After I literally fell to the floor in despair and had this epiphany, I decided the next day I had to make changes. And in a very short space of time, Ruth, that entire situation in the factory seemed to change. The people suddenly were friendly. I made friends with them. I started talking to them. I started realizing they were really nice people. I had amazing stories. I learned about their cultures. I learned all sorts of interesting things about other cultures. The work seemed to go faster. Everybody just seemed to be friendlier. I made friends. I couldn't tell you how different that place was. And all that had changed was me.
Love it.
All that had changed was me. So that was the first changes that happened. That was the first thing that happened. And then it just snowballed. Eventually I left the factory. I published my first book. The money started to come in. It just grows and grows and grows. Not just financially, but in all ways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And even so, you were even able to write a book, and the proceeds of it went to a particular charity as well at one stage, which is you giving back, which is a wonderful thing to do.
In fact, the first two books, both the first two books on magic and in fact, the first three books on magic, I don't take any of the profits from those, because I felt like I didn't want to be a person who just made money out of teaching other people how to make money. I felt that was just messed up in my head. So it's like, no, okay, I'm going to write these. This is all going to charity. So all that money goes elsewhere. From that point on, my organization got too big, and I now have to take money because I need to pay people. I need to pay for my websites, and people to answer my emails. I have to pay people, so I have to take money. But those books definitely didn't start off by making money out of teaching magic.
Well, and now you're a grandmother now. I mean,
I'm a grandmother, and it's the best thing. That was magic. Even that was magic.
Yes.
And I was in Ireland when I found out I was going to be a grandma. I was in Galway, on the streets of Galway, when I found out I was going to be a grandma.
Oh, you'll have to come back and have another one.
I'm going to Cork next time. I want to go to Cork.
Good for you. There's a lovely jazz festival there once a year, and it's highly recommended. It's a lot of fun there. So what's next for you?
At the moment, I am fully throwing myself into this Academy of Magic. I mean, this is going to be around for at least till the end of the year. Don't know how long it's going to go on, but at least at the end of the year, I'm putting everything into this. I'm also hoping to sneak out another couple of books. Whether I'm going to find time to get them out this year or not, I don't know. But this Academy of Magic is where it all is. Where it all is.
Well, we'll definitely be keeping our eye on you. Does anybody have any other questions before we let Genevieve go? Because we are coming to the end. When you change the way, Elizabeth, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. That's that Wayne Dyer saying, which, oh my gosh, you did read The Power of Intention, and you were reading that, you did say, when at the time of the... I was very into
Wayne Dyer. I was a big Wayne Dyer fan in the early stages,
Oh, he's a wonderful man. Who's saying, Mary says, the power of positive language, words is magic. Thank you. Absolutely, Mary. Thank you for saying that. So true. Maura, so inspirational. Thank you, Genevieve. I love Genevieve because my own daughter, who was meant to be Chloe and became Katie, because she didn't when she was born, she cried so much. We looked at her in the cot within a few hours of her birth and said, she's not Chloe, and she stopped crying instantly. So then she came up with Katie Genevieve. And when the lady came and asked me, the registrar came to obviously register her name, and she said, and how do you spell Genevieve? And I said, I don't know. I had to go and V's and there's 4 E's and there's a G and an N and
There's
an
so
I.
many. I'll tell you what, when I do sign books sometimes, and I sign it as Genevieve, I have to stop and think, am I getting this right?
It's a beautiful name, and I know how you picked Davis for your surname. But is there a secret behind Genevieve, or was it just one you liked?
It just sounds magic-y to me.
Doesn't
it?
It
Sounds magic-y. Guys, the reason I chose the reason I write under a pen name, by the way, is just because in the early stages, I was when I released these books, I was at the early stages of my magical development, and I didn't have any confidence. And I was an educated person. My friends had PhDs and things, and I couldn't tell them I was writing books about magic. I thought they'd think I was mad. They'd think I'd joined a cult. So I kept it all hidden. It was all hidden for years. It was all hidden until not that long ago. And then I came out and said, hey guys.
This is me. Well, you had a lot of very successful books behind you at that stage, so I think that might have been quite delightful for them. I imagine some of them will be listening to what you have to say. Somebody's saying, so just we're holding you 1 second.
No, it's okay. I've got a few. I can go on a couple of minutes. Don't worry.
Thank you so much. Teresa also says, thank you, Genevieve. It was great listening to you. Exciting evening. Thank you, Teresa. Yvonne, how did you get your confidence up?
Okay, confidence is this is a huge subject, but if I can say, the best way to get confidence up is to take constant, tiny little steps outside your comfort zone. Don't have to do big jumps. You don't have to get on stage and do a big talk. You don't have to go skydiving. Just every day doing something new or something that little stretches you. So I increased my confidence very, 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 very gradually. Only 5 years ago, doing something like this I wouldn't have been able to do it. It's been quite recent that I've been able to do the public speaking thing. Was always a big thing for me. So it's been growing slowly. Don't expect amazing things overnight. Just work slowly. And as you step outside your comfort zone, it's like your world slowly expands. The things you're capable of just slowly expand and expand and expand. Keep that up, and in a few years' time, you'll be doing things you never believed you could ever do. That's what I would say.
100% agree. Confidence comes as a result of taking action. It's not a requirement.
It doesn't come first. It doesn't come first. It comes through taking action, not before taking action. So as I say to people, I still feel fear. I feel fear every single day. I just don't let it stop me doing what I want to do. I just do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
The more you do, obviously, the more you can do, as you quite rightly said, even being able to come out to your friends, your college friends and that. Mary Hillary, who has an amazing voice, said, did your health and energy change when you changed?
Oh my goodness, yes. Oh my goodness. I had all sorts of things wrong. I had terrible insomnia. I was very, very overweight. I was very unfit. I would say I'm 53 now, and I suppose you'd count me as menopausal, although I don't actually even recognize that as a term, because I just refuse to recognize it as a term, because I'm just who I am. I'm just what I'm doing. Okay. I've got more energy. I'm stronger. I'm fitter than I've possibly ever been. I would say. So yes, my health. Between you and me, I never go to the doctor. I don't do anything. It's just like health and things don't register for me. I'm too busy to be ill. That sounds awfully flippant, because it sounds awful if somebody's really suffering with illness. But yes, my health has changed massively, and now I just pay very, very little attention to that.
So your focus is on your wellness and your thriving, and it's not necessarily, because I know that some people really are so afraid of illness that they're constantly focusing on it. Maybe, as Christian Northrup calls it, the seek and destroy approach. You keep looking for something to try and cure.
Well, this was exactly how I had 15 years of chronic insomnia, by basically creating a monster of it was a monster of my own creation. I talk a lot about that in the Magic Words book as well, and about my partner Mike, and how he had terrible health issues that have now completely disappeared.
Wonderful.
As a result of this. So
this is so uplifting. I love this, because Tuesday Night Club, we like people to go away feeling, oh yes, I could do that, with some really bright ideas and some little drops, threads of curiosity that they can follow. And I love that you're giving them so much of this. And we just see, Claire says, thanks for your honesty and very inspiring story. Everyone loves your honesty. I think that's really, I
love it. That's the you know what, that's the biggest compliment you can give me, because what I really want to come across as is having absolute integrity in this, because I think that's why people love my writing, because there is no ego in that. There's nothing. It's just pure magic onto the page. That sounds really egotistical, but it's not.
Well, okay, you don't have to say it. I'll say it for you. It absolutely is that. Thank you, Genevieve. Katrina, encouraging. Thank you. Well, that's always good. Claire, you said that. Elizabeth, very inspiring. Genevieve, thank you so much for sharing your experiences and your expertise. And Trina says authentic. Well, that's a great word.
Fabulous.
Always a good word.
Fabulous, guy. Oh my God, I want to talk about this all night. We haven't got time.
I know. Listen, thank you so much. Mary Hillary says you have a fan in me. Mary, I'm a big fan of yours too. You're super. And but Mary's your fan now. That's great. Let me see. And Tori, thank you very much for your inspirational. Just order the book online. Tony, yay. Tori, sorry, that's fantastic, Tori. You'll enjoy that. Gail says it's a joy to listen to you. Indeed, it is. A true joy to listen to you. You've been a delight. I am so grateful to you for running with something you didn't have to. That you just picked it up and you ran with my out of the blue message to your page, and I'm so grateful to you for that.
Oh, no problem, no problem. I wish I could have stayed longer. You know, I don't know what spoke to me about your message. Just I thought I like the sound of this lady. Plus you're Irish, and I love the Irish, so I couldn't resist.
Talk to us again, will you? There's a number of people telling us that they're heading to your website after this. So thank you.
Guys, there's probably, what I would say is if you want to join I'm going to open the doors to the Academy of Magic again, kind of probably in the next month or so. So if you want to know more, add your name to my mailing list. You can just literally write to support at becomingmagic.com and just put your name on the wait list, and I'll let you know about that. You know, that's a really easy way to find out anything new that's coming out.
If somebody's there, because I know some of you are very handy, can you pop Genevieve's email or website address up?
You know what? I can do it myself.
Oh, good for you. Okay, thank you.
Look at this. I really must get out because I'm going out after this.
Now, so we let you go now, and we are very grateful to you. And we would love that. There we go. Support at becomingmagic.com.
Yeah, so then my email. So that's both my website and the email. So becomingmagic.com is the website.
It's magic. And my lovely Gillian says uplifting, and everybody else. Listen, you are a darling. Thank you so much. We deeply appreciate you. Come back and talk to us again. They're applauding behind their muted screens.
Oh, thank you guys. I will.
Again.
It's been lovely.
Very best of luck, Genevieve, and thank you so much. We love you.